So if you're maxing out your credit cards and you're not paying off your bills, what are the consequences to actually doing this? Now, before I proceed with this video, I do want to establish a few ground rules, and what I actually think about things is very important. If you are borrowing money and you have no intention of paying it off, that makes you a thief. That basically makes you a criminal. Don't do that. It is not the right thing to do. You're stealing. If you are borrowing money though, and then you max things out, and now you don't know what's going to happen, and you really want to pay it, the answer is you're not a thief. You're not a criminal. You're just irresponsible. Now, Tommy, it sounds like you're judging me or us. What are you doing? The answer is I am judging you because I wish somebody would have judged me when I was doing a lot of stupid things. This basically means I'm telling you, this is a mistake, irresponsibility. You either have bad thoughts about not paying off your debt, you're supposed to pay off your debts, but now once you realize it, feel sorry about it, don't do it again, and now let's move forward, all right? So we're gonna try to pay things off, right? And we're gonna try to basically manage things better. That is the goal for this video, but I'll tell you exactly what the consequences are, what to expect, and why this is not going to be a good idea. As always, guys, if you guys don't know me, my name is TommyBryson, and if you do know me, welcome back to the channel, and do me a favor and smash the like button. Now, the very first thing, guys, is the problem with maxing out your debt is not going to be what the bank tells you. The bank is like a parent. They're going to threaten you with something that really isn't a big deal in a way. They're going to threaten with taking away your tablet or whatever. No, the bank is going to threaten you with your credit score. They're going to say, we're going to absolutely destroy your credit score if you don't pay off this debt. But that's not the biggest consequence to this, okay? Although that's a legitimate one, because if that does happen, that's probably going to stay on your report for like the next 7 years, and that's not going to be pretty. However, that's not the big deal. The big deal is when you're maxing out credit cards, when you're getting into massive debt overall, it basically handicaps you financially, and it becomes a lot harder to be able to actually build any type of wealth overall. Because if you're investing into the stock market, you can make anywhere from 8 to 12%. If you're investing into real estate, maybe like 8 to 12% also. If you're really smart, you can make a little bit more, but for the most part, a 12% return is pretty fair. But imagine if you're trying to basically get rich while you're paying somebody interest on a credit card of 18% or 24%, you're going to be in big trouble. Right now, CNBC is basically advertising and saying that the average person debt has gone up by around $6,000 in total as far as for credit cards. So imagine that. If you have a credit card balance right now of $6,000, do you know how much money you're basically paying every single month? The answer is, well, if you don't know, let's run the math right now. $6,000, that's how much you actually owe. 18% is your interest rate. Some people are actually paying, guess what, 24 or 35%. And they're asking you for 1%, which is basically standard. Your minimum payment is going to be $150, and you can expect to be done with this debt in about 291 months. That's the equivalent, my friends, of about 24 years or so, if I'm not mistaken. And you'll be done, and in the end, you would have paid them an extra $8,423. Now, imagine that. Just one credit card is taking you $150 every single month, right? It's crazy. It's a lot of money. And that's just one. Then you have, for example, what about your car payments? What about, for example, your mortgage if you have one? What about your student loan debt, your personal loans? The answer is, it's going to handicap the heck out of you when it comes to building wealth. One of the worst mistakes is going to be to max out your credit cards. And one of the worst mistakes is going to be to try to think you're smart enough to manage your credit card, to then get points, to get all the good stuff, and none of the bad part, okay? I don't recommend that. More on that later in this video. Now, here's the second thing I want to tell you guys, okay? What can you do to actually avoid having your credit card actually max out? Well, I learned this a long time ago. If you just notice you're in a hole and you have a shovel, what you need to do is basically stop digging. When you're in a hole, you stop digging. So if you have massive credit card debts, it's being maxed out all the way to the top, The answer is don't open up another credit card right now. You want to first stop using the credit card. I would go as far as closing the credit card, and then I would work on paying off the credit card. Whether you want to do a balance transfer, that's a different video for another day. Although I have those, look them up. It's a way to actually transfer the balance from one credit card to the next credit card and not pay any interest for like around 18 months or so. So that could help you. But for the most part, you actually want to pay off your debt. Now, how would I go about paying off my debt? The first part is you want to have a budget. So you want to know how much you spend, how much comes in, and then you want to take the surplus and put it towards paying off the debt. How do you pay off the debt? You can basically pay the debt off from smallest amount to biggest. But tell me, if I'm paying the smaller debt, the larger debt is going to keep accrued in interest, and on top of that, it's also going to register as a late payment. The answer is no. What you want to do is you pay the minimum on all the cards, and all the extra money left over, you put it towards the smallest balance of your debts, and that way you build momentum. You know, the first month you might be done with one credit card, the next month the other one, then the other one. Is this the most efficient way to pay off your debt as far as saving money? The answer is no. There's also the avalanche method where you pay the debt off, you pay the minimum on all of them, but you pay the debt off from the high interest rate to the lowest interest rate, and you save more money, but that's a little bit harder. So I do recommend the normal snowball method. Just pay the balance with the smallest amount, and that way you get better and better and better and better. That's the core idea. But once you do get better, guys, here's what I recommend, and here's what I did. You want to stop playing these games, okay? The game of, Tommy, I paid off my credit card. I finally did it. And then 2 years later or 3 years later, you're right back where you started because you keeping on with the same tools that got you there, which is basically going to be credit cards. Tell me, if I stop using credit cards, if I close my credit cards, then how am I actually going to be able to do things? You know, like get an apartment. The answer is you show the apartment people your income, your taxes, and that's basically it. That's all they really care about. Your taxes, your income, your bill payments, you know, just to see you're actually responsible. And if you don't have any debt, guess what they're gonna say? Well, this person doesn't have that much risk at all to us. What about a house? You go to the bank, you ask them to do manual underwriting. You don't need a credit score to get a house. What about a car, Tommy? Well, you don't need to buy a finance car. Pay cash for a car. Spend $3,000, $5,000. Tommy, the car I want is $15,000, it's $10,000. The answer is the best car is the car you can afford to pay in cash. It's not the car that's like you can't afford to pay in cash. It's pretty self-evident with what I'm saying here. That's the idea. But Tommy, I want to go to college. I want to do this. I want to do that. The answer is take things step by step. That's the overall concept. Now, just for fun here, towards the end of the video, if you made it all the way to the end, if you max out a credit card and you don't pay off your balance, eventually the bank is going to sell your debt to collection for basically dimes or pennies on the dollar. So if you have like $1,000 in debt, well, the collections might have bought that debt for like $100 or $50 potentially, and they're gonna come to you to try to collect. Now, obviously, having collections or a charge off in your credit score is not going to be a good look because people are gonna be like, why aren't you paying off your responsibilities? When you pay off collections, what you wanna do is make sure they actually have a letter affirming that you actually paid off potentially, and yes, you can negotiate. But my point is, okay, if you got to that point, you're there. You gotta fix it. But the overall idea is not to say, I'm here, I can pay this stuff off, but I'm gonna wait until it goes into collections. That way I can pay less or I just forget about it. It's very bad moral ethics, okay? So when you take a look at it, it's like people that say, if a tree fell in the woods, you know, did it really fall? The answer is yes. If you're stealing, and no one knows, you're still stealing. It's still not the right thing to do. So be very responsible when it comes to your debt. And for me personally, I no longer play this game. I don't have a single credit card. I don't have any debt anymore. Now, does that mean you can do that? The answer is yes. Does it mean it's going to be easy? The answer is no. It can take you a while. It took me like 7 years to finally clear up all my debt. It takes a while. It could probably take you less because I was a little stubborn, but it could probably take you less. But that's the answer. It's hard work, but in the end, I 100% believe it's actually going to be worth it. Guys, thanks for watching this video. If you got value so far, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified. Up here are more videos on my face also. Thank you for one on Patreon. If you want to join us on Patreon to even talk to me personally one-on-one, the link is going to be down below. Here are the people on Patreon, the highlighted person, and as always, long-term team. officially out. Peace.